Welcome into another edition of the Leadership Library, hosted by CEO and author Rocky Romanella. Rocky is the author of the book Tighten the Lug Nuts, The Principles of Balanced Leadership, and has over 40 years of business experience as a prominent member of the UPS Supply Chain Solutions team, as well as the CEO of Unitech Global Services. So sit back, grab your notebook, and take a seat, and get ready for this edition of the Leadership Library.
Welcome to the Leadership Library. I am your host, Rocky Romanella. We are beginning Season 7. Certainly like to thank and recognize Andrew Romanella, our producer and director, and of course, Jane, our wonderful graphic designer. We're going to start this series and talk a lot about the people side of things. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about this phenomenon of putting out fires. All of us have been there in the workplace, been there in our personal lives, where all of a sudden every problem that we have is an urgent problem, needs our full attention, stop everything, drop everything. Now we're all working on this problem. And occasionally those things happen and you have to react to them. But when they're happening every day, day in and day out, you start to have to think about, well, why is that the way we do business here? Most times it's because of leadership. It's because of those individuals in charge who are creating these fires. Oftentimes they create the fires because they're micromanaging, or they don't really have their priorities set, or they put everything in the same category. Everything is urgent and everything is important. And as you know, we've talked about this once before when we talked about work-life balance. You have to understand the difference between nice to do and need to do. And not everything is a need to do. But if you put everything in a need to do, well, certainly you're going to create that fire. As you all know, we wrote the book Tighten the Lug Nuts based on that principle of when important things become urgent, you can only handle so many urgent things. If you haven't gotten a copy of the book, go ahead and get it on Amazon. Go to Chapter 6. And start learning about how to tighten your lug nuts. But remember, when lug nuts are loose, they're important. When the wheel falls off, it becomes urgent. And that's how fires start, or that's how accidents happen, because when you have too many important things, you can only handle so many of those. So I think you have to look within yourself and look inside yourself and look inside your organization to understand why you have all these fires and what's causing all these fires. I think sometimes leaders think that they enjoy being the person putting out the fires, and only they know how to put out the fires, and only they work under the pressure to put out the fire. Personally, I think the least amount of fires you have, it's best for your people, it's best for your organization, certainly best for your customers because they don't handle the fires well at all, right? When all of a sudden someone that, for example, an account executive that's working their account or is their liaison is now taken off of that because they're put on a fire inside the organization or another important task that has to be taken care of, they're upset about that as the customer because now you've taken their person off of their responsibility. So if you think that this phenomenon of putting out fires makes you seem like a really important person or makes you that leader that everybody wants to go to, think again. The best leaders are those leaders that don't create the fires and aren't spending all their time putting out the fires. In our next episode, we're going to talk about the 4 signs to identify so you understand where these fires are coming from and how they're created. Until our next episode, don't be the person starting the fires. Have a great, great week and talk to you soon.